Hey y'all, and welcome to Cloveroom. Friends, the time has come for a ruthless, full collection declutter. Before we get to the actual declutter, we must do the standard YouTube caveats. If you don't feel like hearing the caveats, one, you aren't allowed to scream at me in the comments, but two, I will put a timestamp here so you can just skip straight to the declutter. As many of you know, I'm more than halfway through a 4-month beauty no-buy. Through this no-buy, I've enjoyed not only taking a break from buying things and bringing things into my collection, I've really enjoyed just using the same things basically every day, and that leading to actual usage that I can see and even using up a good amount of beauty products. I feel like it's made me realize a more minimalist collection is probably the best fit for me. It just keeps my consumption low, but it also helps counter this thing I call the Toy Story effect. It's something I've talked about in earlier videos on my channel and mentioned on Instagram at @clove_room if you're interested. And that's just, I grew up watching Toy Story. I'm a child. I was born in the mid-90s. I watched a lot of Toy Story 1 and 2 growing up. There's this sentimentality I place on non-animate objects, especially ones that I love, right? Because I love my makeup collection. And it's similar to like Andy and his toys when he doesn't play with them or he shoves some in the drawer. I mean, I just think of Sarah McLachlan singing that when somebody great song. Devastating though, and I just, when I don't use a Patrick Ta blush that I paid my good money for and it's shoved away in a box somewhere, I feel like Sarah McLachlan is serenading it, and I would like to avoid that as much as possible. And I want to be clear for this video, yes, this is one of those ruthless declutters, but unlike a lot of people who post that content, I just don't like I'm not excited about it. I feel a lot of shame actually, which I'm trying to counter because I think shame is one of the most is just one of the least productive emotions and feelings we can have. It doesn't usually lead to any change. It just makes us feel bad, but not in a way that helps us counter a negative behavior. It just makes us sad and pity ourselves, and it's just, shame is not a helpful emotion in my opinion. So I'm trying to fight that, but this doesn't feel good. Like, I spent 95% of these products are products I paid for myself. The other 5% were gifts from friends. I've never received PR from brands, and it just, this collection is a result of a real personal problem with overconsumption and a little bit of a shopping addiction that I'm trying to fight. And I'm doing a lot of great work in that arena with Snow Buy, and even throughout this year I've been a lot better. It's really that 2020 to 2022 period that really messed me up in a lot of more emotional ways that we don't have to get into right now, but financially too. So this doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like I'm getting a weight off my back. It just is kind of sad that I let it get to this point. And I'm not admonishing people who have big collections. If that's what you truly want, then you should do what you want. I'm more sad that I'm realizing that buying all of this stuff wasn't what I wanted, and a lot of money went toward this stuff. To be totally frank now, not just because of makeup, but other things, I'm paying off credit card debt and put myself in a little bit of a hole. And I don't want to feel shame about that because, again, shame's not a useful emotion. So I'm choosing to feel proud of myself that I have reinvested in things that make me happy, that I am working my way out of that dead hole. And, every day it's getting better. So anyway, that was a lot of emotion before a declutter video. But I just want to say, I don't feel like I'm better than anyone because I'm going to move toward a more minimalist collection. That's just a personal preference. 2, I'm not happy that I'm decluttering a bunch of makeup. I don't feel relieved. I want to get out of the way, and I think there will be some relief in finally distributing all the makeup and all of that and giving it a good home, or maybe throwing away the things that are just old and aren't getting used. But it's just one of the final acts of getting over a really unhealthy and toxic relationship with buying beauty products. I'm just letting go of the 6 chests of Alex drawer having a cozy studio in the backyard of an LA bungalow beauty guru fantasy that I've had for a lot of my time. Also, a note on storage. My makeup collection lives in 3 different locations as of now. The first location is my vanity. This is the makeup I use every day. The storage here includes an acrylic organizer, a tray, and some cups. I also stack my palettes like they are on a bookshelf here, and that's worked out just fine for me. Second location is a little vanity overflow basket. These are items in somewhat regular rotation, but my vanity counter can only fit so much. Third location, the banishment box. In parallel to my no-buy, I've been doing the banishment project where I sort of did a pre-declutter of more than 60% of my collection. The idea here was to experiment with whether I could or wanted to live with a smaller, more minimalist collection. Since I've started this project, I will maybe reach into this box once a month, but I don't usually think about most of these items that I've placed on it. And for this declutter, I've decided I'm just going to merge everything back into one giant collection and go category by category instead of like decluttering the 3 locations separately, because I just think that would be better to watch and make more sense. So I think I did all the caveats. I did one more caveat. Please don't ask me for any of the stuff that I'm decluttering. I have friends that I've already divvied up in my mind where I'm sending it, or people at work, yada yada. So it's all spoken for. Please don't ask, because it's just like puts me in an uncomfortable situation to have to be like, no. Last, required, YouTube, action. Please like this video if you do end up enjoying it. Subscribe if you want to see future uploads. Comment if you have any thoughts. I would appreciate, those thoughts were positive, but, comment either way. And just thanks so much for being here. I think we can actually get into the actual merging of the collection and the actual declutter while you're probably here. All right. Alright y'all, let's get started with the actual declutter. These are my single eyeshadows. They're my liquids and creams. It's interesting because I don't think of myself as somebody who uses single eyeshadows a lot, and it's a collection that I kind of want to explore maybe more, getting more quality things, more quality formulas, more colors that I vibe with. But this is actually a pretty big collection for somebody who says they aren't a single eyeshadow person. I'm going to start with my immediate reactions of things that I definitely want to keep or definitely want to get rid of. I'm definitely going to keep both of my Phytosurgeons single eyeshadows. I have Lunar Lightwave and I have Wild Wisteria. They don't sell Wild Wisteria anymore, but sometimes it comes back. I don't know. If it is coming back ever, we don't know. I like these both a lot. Lunar Lightwave especially is such a gorgeous, like, sparkly glitter shade. I've got asked a bunch of times at work for both of these, where did I get them? So I'm definitely going to keep both of these. I'm definitely going to declutter, well, it's kind of annoying to declutter those. There we go. Definitely going to declutter both of these. These are from Musée Beauty, but then also that was actually K-Lab, I think was their name at the time that they closed. But this is from a defunct company. I actually didn't even order these. They just threw these in. Like, not even like I ordered them knowing they would throw them in, but they just threw in like a crap ton of makeup I didn't order because I think they were going out of business, wanted to get rid of stuff. These colors are just kind of odd, and I don't like the formula, so those are going to go. What else do I immediately want to do? My good friend Home Mess Tom actually earlier this year sent me like a crap ton of makeup. It was very generous of them and was basically like, have at it, do what you will. And the catalyst for that were actually these Ritual Defy eye sets, which have since been repackaged and all of that. And I would like to try them still. These, when they got to me and by the time I tried them, were just so dried up and kind of like, I mean, it's sad because they look so beautiful in the component, but they are just all dried up and like kind of useless at this point. So I am going to be decluttering these, which is sad, but it's okay. It is kind of funny because that was like the whole reason Tom sent me a bunch of makeup, and those were like the things I've used the least because they're just, I think, got dried up in transit. Tom also sent me this Auric eyeshadow, which I was really excited to try. It's in the shade Ego, which is like sort of like a steel blue gray. I did not like this. I thought the cream was okay. It's just like a color I don't wear a lot. And then I thought the topper shade left a lot to be desired. So I'm also going to declutter this. Other things. I hated this. This is the e.l.f. No Budge Cream Eyeshadow. It's in this really pretty like muted lavender color, which is right up my alley. And so I bought it because it was like $5 and I was like, even if it's the worst thing in the world, how bad could it be if it's, I mean, that's like, it's almost like the color of my nails, but it's even more desaturated than my nails. It's a really lovely color. This formula is just awful. Like, it's god awful. e.l.f. sometimes hits it out of the park for me. This was not hitting it out of the park. This was like really, really bad. It was just so, I can't emphasize enough how dry it was. It was definitely no budge because as soon as you put it on, it was not going anywhere. Forget about blending it. Like, blending was not a possibility. So I was like, maybe I can just use it as like a graphic eyeliner. Even that, it's just hard to work with and hard to make it look opaque and sharp without it cracking all over. It's just, even for the cheap price and for how nice some of the colors are, I would steer clear of those. I never know what to do with my ColourPop Super Shock, so I'm going to leave those. I don't know why I bought this. This was a dumb purchase, or I shouldn't say dumb. We're not trying to be mean to ourselves, but this was a misguided purchase. This is the Jumbo Eye Crown from NYX. It's in the shade Milk. It's a very iconic product, and for some reason I was like, oh my god, I must have this because it'll be a great matte white inner corner highlight, which would be fabulous if I ever did a matte white inner corner highlight, but I don't like that on me. So it's one of those, there's going to be a lot of examples of this in this declutter, but it's one of those where I was buying it for a fantasy version of myself that was just somebody who needed a really large collection, as if I was a content creator who did a lot of different looks and reviews and like themed videos like Full Face of NYX. And not only was I not a content creator, or I might have been then, but either way, that's not the kind of content I even enjoy doing or want to do. And it just was a really misguided purchase, and I think it was a person trying to fill out their collection when in actuality they didn't need to fill out their collection. So I mean, it wasn't like that expensive, but it's just like, you know, this is plastic, this, you know, I probably got it shipped, so it's like, I don't want to go too far into the environmental impact of all of this because it can lead you down a very dark road where you're like, I should just eat like oats from paper bag for the rest of my life and never leave my patch of land I found that nobody bothers me on. But what does that have to do with this jumbo eye pencil? I'm not sure, but I'm going to declutter it. I'm going to keep both of these liquid shadows. This is the Ilia liquid shadow in Cork. Makes a really good eye base and primer in one. I actually think it looks a lot worse when you use it over primer. I think it kind of has to be its own primer. It's pretty mattifying. So keeping that. And then the REM liquid shadow, it's in like Heart, but it's like the less than 3 version of the Heart, if that makes sense. This is a really nice warm brown. It's like very, very, very pigmented though. So I do have to be careful with it, but I go through stretches where I really enjoy using this. it's a nice color, and it's actually a pretty nice formula, so I'm going to keep that. I'm going to declutter this Revlon Color Stay in Caramel. I was trying to Amanda Z my collection when I bought this, and Amanda Z and I have different preferences because I did not enjoy this. I kind of just... I could see why some people would enjoy this, but to me, I would rather... It's pretty subtle. It just, you know, gives you a nice satiny caramel wash, which sounds lovely, and it comes in a nice little glass pot. I would just rather put a powder eyeshadow on that's a little bit more impactful, or just use a matte. This just... Oh, and it's very oily. Like, it's really, 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 really oily, and I don't even have oily eyelids, but I don't know. I did not enjoy it. It really broke apart on my eye. So, decluttering that. Now we get to the problem with the Super Shocks. So, most of you probably know I don't support ColourPop anymore. Don't need to get into that in this declutter. These are among the few things I have left. Such a pretty shade. This is probably my favorite Super Shock of all time. It's in the shade Almost There. It's from like one of their OG Disney collections. I'm not going to declutter that. I can't give that up. And then I have Rooftop Cocktails, which I have a Viseart shade that's pretty similar to this, and I like the formula of that better, and I just like the brand better, so I think I can declutter that. And also Rose Garden, which is like this really pretty lavendery shade. This has always just been kind of a miss for me, and I have other sparkly lavender shades I prefer, so that can definitely go. And then I have 2014 and Amaze I really liked for a long time. It's just like a really nice goldy, like almost like a rosy gold, but a little bit more on the golden side. It's actually a really pretty shade, but I don't really wear shades like that often. If I do, I'm not going to reach for a ColourPop Super Shock. I didn't love this one. This is 2014. It's like a gold with blue flecks in it. Not my favorite. It looks kind of odd on me. So I think that the only one I'm going to keep is Almost There, because it's kind of nostalgic for me, and it's a really like gorgeous shade. It's like has these like green and silver flecks in it, but it's like this like warm but kind of neutrally cool base. I'm gonna keep that. Alright, so this is what I'm gonna declutter, the vast majority, and then I'm gonna keep just a couple of my Phytosurgeon shades, one ColourPop Super Shock, an REM Liquid Shadow, and an Ilia Liquid Shadow. I feel pretty good about that. Alright, so now I'm going to do my eyeshadow palettes that have 5 or less shadows in it. So mostly quads, few trios, and one quint. We'll start with the quint, although this one's kind of actually hard. This is one of my favorite eyeshadows of all time. It's Galaxia from Natasha Denona, the mini retro palette. The problem with this is that this one has, this shade has obviously been used. I've used them maybe once or twice, but I bought this palette and I was hoping I would like, because I do like, you know, kind of muted vibe of these shades. This is something I could maybe get into, but this is the shade I own, like the shade I use from this palette, and these are not removable. I don't want to destroy the palette just to get this one shade or, you know, depot it. So I'm going to declutter it because I have other sheer glittery things like this. I do love this shade. But I am thinking I'm going to get more into indie eyeshadow next year, and I know there are shades in the indie world that will give me that Galaxia vibe. Somebody can tell me, or I can find out for myself how to get this vibe in a single shade. But I just feel really guilty I don't use like 4/5 of this palette. And I know I can pass this on to somebody who will use it a lot more than me. So I'm going to declutter this. I'm going to keep all these Viseart quads. They actually are not even their original pans. I made a custom palette with one of my larger Viseart palettes. So these are all shades from random things. Like this one I think is entirely other shades. I think these are all from Koyish. But I'm going to keep all these because I love my Viseart shadows. These Tom Ford quads, These were included in Tom's package, and I gasped when I opened it and I saw there were Tom Ford quads. I have like hardly touched this one, which may be a little surprising because I do love these types of shades. It's just, I don't know why, it's just, the tones are just a little bit off from what I prefer. Like that's a little bit more grape than I would like. This is a little bit more, like, I guess gray. And the finishes are kind of mild, like they're sort of these in-between satiny glitter shades. This I thought could be cool, but it just kind of pales in comparison to other shades I have. So I actually am going to declutter this quad. This was, oh, Badass. This is the Badass quad that I'm decluttering. And then this is one I used way more. This is really nice. Again, when I use these, first of all, this packaging feels like Patrick Ta packaging, so I think that's crazy for $90. But second of all, when I use them, I was like, what's the big deal? Like, what is the hype? Like, this is mid at best. But then I zoomed out and I was like, that's actually a really pretty eye look I just made. Oh, I thought I was going to declutter this, and I might not, because this shade is so nice. It's like a satiny neutral brown. It's like, I feel like kind of hard to find this shade. This is a really nice satiny peach, more on the matte side than maybe this one. Really pretty true violet here. This is the Quad African Violet, by the way. This shade's a little bit of a letdown. I guess it's a version of, like, I feel like Khaki always says Celestial. So Celestial, I don't know, like glittery special shade. I mean, you can probably see it has a little bit of hard pan, and it's also just like really mid. Like, it looks fine, but pales in comparison to a lot of my other shadows. I'm gonna think about her. I don't know what I want to do with her. Kaja Trio, I'm definitely gonna declutter this. This top shade is pretty to like lightly put on top of things as like a topper. I don't love the formula of this metallic. It's not my favorite. And the matte's actually a really nice formula. Like, it's very pretty. I have a Viseart matte that is like the same tone that I'm going to reach for over this every time. I like the glitter more than the metallic, like I said, but I do, again, prefer other things that are in my larger palettes. And something about this, I don't know, I feel like you're either a person who really loves the little convenient stack thing and this works perfectly in your makeup bag or on your vanity, or you're a person like me who's like, I would rather open a palette for whatever reason. I don't know, like, I mean, it's cute, but at the end, it just is a little gimmicky when I want things that are a little bit more, I don't know, solid and that I'm going to reach for every day. So she's cute. I don't think it's a bad product. This is the Mauve Bouquet colorway, by the way, but I'm going to declutter her. And I'm sure someone will have a lot of fun with her. All right, I have 4 of these Glossier quads. One of them is empty. Prairie, I actually depotted a while back and kind of destroyed it, which was my bad. It's just an empty compact, which is cute actually, because it's like a little tin thing. And then you can take out the mirror. I already have, like, I think one of these is missing a mirror because I did that. Yeah, this one's missing a mirror because I pulled it out and I have it like in a purse or something, which is cute. So I may just, I mean, I don't know what I would do with this. I mean, I guess I could put a magnet in it and build my own palettes. And then it would have like a little mirror when I do indie shadows. So I'm going to keep just this case, this tin case. I am going to declutter Mesa. It's fine, but I don't know. The orange is kind of not, like, this shade of orange doesn't look incredible on me. It almost brings out my eyes too much to like an alarming degree. Like, I kind of look terrifying in orange eyeshadow. And this is in Mesa. So I'm going to declutter that one. I'm definitely keeping Almond. Obviously, I really like this one. This tone is really special. I was talking to Makeup Eclectic on Instagram about how, like, there's nothing spectacular about this formula or whatnot, but something about these monochrome trios, like, if you get a shade that really works, it really works well, and it's just a really reliable, beautiful eyeshadow. And sort of a similar thing to the Tom Ford formula. I'd be like, okay, this is kind of mid, but then I would zoom out and look at my eye look, and I'd be like, okay, but I do look gorgeous. And I don't feel that way about every eye look. So Glossier Almond will always be in my collection. And unless I use it all the way up, which I guess is a possibility. I have a lot of pan in the matte shade. So she's staying for sure. I don't know what to do with teak. You know what, actually this is like a kind of a similar. Am I gonna do a little swatchy swatch? Maybe we'll do a little swatchy swatch. I have to take my little thumb things off. Oh, see, like, oh, there's actually a lot more like red in that Tom Ford one. And this one's almost like a little bit more warm and olive, and this one has a little bit more like red. What's this might look like? I'm gonna keep both of them. I'm gonna keep both of them. I don't know. I thought I was gonna declutter both of them and only have one monochrome and get rid of all the Tom Ford quads, but I don't know. I want to keep both, and I'm going to keep both because it's fine to keep both. Well, is it? Teak is something I really don't reach for that often. Like, I like this shade. I'm gonna declutter teak because now that I'm thinking about it, like, this just always looks too orangey on me, and you know, I have that satin in the Tom Ford. I think I prefer this satin, and the metallic and the matte are, it's not as special of a tone as Glossier Almond is for me, and I have other warm browns I think I'd rather use than this, and this is just something I never reach for, so I'm going to declutter teak. And this Tom Ford quad, it was part of the Banishment project. It's been hiding away from me for some time, but it's hard to say no to a free Tom Ford quad, you know? And that shade's really pretty. I don't really have like a true peach. I'm gonna keep the Tom Ford. Alright, so this one's a little bit more half and half than maybe I would like, but this isn't a competition. This is just me deciding what I want to keep in my collection. So I'm gonna keep, and one of these actually is just an empty case that I'm going to keep around for future single shadows. So that's actually not really technically a under 5 eyeshadow palette anymore, but I'm going to declutter these, and then I am going to keep all my Viseart ones, the Tom Ford African Violet, and of course I'm going to keep Glossier Almond. I feel pretty good about this. Now I'm like, should I keep this one too? No, someone else will like that more. Okay, we're going to move on. All right, before we begin on these larger palettes, I have 4 empty palettes here. 2 of these are ColourPop. I think I got this Flamingo one on Shop Miss A. And then I have an empty Salt New York palette that they are going to stop making, which is great because this thing is like it's thicker than a Mothership, like a Pat McGrath Mothership. Like I'm not gonna talk about that right now. Not a fan of that. And all of these, I just don't. I think if when I need storage for single eyeshadows, I'm just gonna buy new empty palettes because I don't love the magnet strength anymore of these ColourPop ones, especially this Miss A one actually is like maybe the worst. I just don't love the aesthetic. I don't ever reach for these when I put shadows in them, which is an important part of doing single shadows, is finding things you'll actually, like packaging you'll reach for. So I'm gonna declutter all of these. I have a lot of friends who have singles who I think may be able to use them, which would be fabulous. All right. Oh, I'm somebody who doesn't consider themselves to have a lot of eyeshadow palettes, so how many do I have? All right, there are 20 eyeshadow palettes here, not including the quads and such. That's way too many, considering most of these were away in the Banishment box, and I did not miss them, to be frank. So away we go. Jason Wu All Matte Eyeshadow Palette. This is actually a pretty nice formula if you need an all matte palette, and caveat, if you like really soft shadows, if you want something that's going to build like a base look, or you're somebody who doesn't love to wear a dramatic eyeshadow, this is actually a pretty nice palette you can get at Target or Target online. I have Viseart palettes now, and that matte formula is much more elegant and flexible and all the things I value. I feel like I have a friend who maybe doesn't wear a lot of makeup though that would really enjoy this and how easy it is, so That'll be good to pass on. What are some other automatics? I mean, we can get these out of the way. My Viseart palettes. I have the Petite Matte here, and I have the Koyish packaging with a custom color story in it. Owning these is going to help me actually declutter a lot because they're just leaps and bounds better than most of my other eyeshadow palettes. I would never get rid of my motherships from Pat McGrath. These are sentimental. I have Bronze Seduction and I have Midnight Sun. I actually use these a lot. I try to use them a lot. I think sometimes people don't use their Pat McGrath a lot because it's so nice and you pay so much money and blah, blah, blah. But I like to get the use out of my makeup, and these were also gifts from my partner, which was very, very sweet. So they're probably my most sentimental pieces of makeup. I would not get rid of those. Escape Pod is definitely staying. It's probably one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes of all time. My friend got me this actually. She wanted me to actually compare it to the Mean Girls Profusion palette, and then it was in a time I wasn't filming, and time got away from me, blah, blah, blah. Kimmy, if you're watching though, I will tell you how I feel now. This is one of the best palettes ever. I love the glitters in here. They're so sheer and gorgeous. I get asked all the time when I wear this, where's my eyeshadow from? I really enjoy these mattes too. Like I love this lavender shade. Ooh, don't look at me. I love this lavender shade in here. It's really nice. All the mattes are like super blendable. They look really smooth. You can build them up. Just a really great palette and a really great formula. I love this. I would rebuy it if I lost it. As it compares to the Mean Girl, I don't think this is terrible. The glitters are bad. That's a big strike against... At least we don't have my cool sleeves on. How am I supposed to emulate Hannah Louise Poston without my sleeves? The glitters are a big strike against it because they're these awful get everywhere like pressed glitters. The non-glitters, like this shade, I have a Fifth Sense, which should be something I like because it's like a blurple, shimmery thing. It's terrible. The mattes in here are okay. I have, like, the Kaleidos formula is definitely better. The Viseart formula is leaps and bounds better. It's like one of those things that's like, yes, it's technically good from the drugstore, but in my collection is not anywhere near other things. I will say, if this had removable pans, I would keep this black. This black is wonderful, and you might not be able to tell, but it's the shade I've used by far the most. I would keep this on my vanity before I had my Viseart neutral mattes, just for the black. It's a really nice black. If Profusion ever did singles, or if they ever did a more just like maybe duo or quad where they had this same, I mean, I guess I wouldn't know if it was the same formula, but if you need a good black, this is a phenomenal black. I was really impressed by that, but this just takes up a lot of space. I appreciate Kimmy for getting it for me. Maybe she would like to try it, but Kaleidos definitely won Kimmy. Kaleidos was leaps and bounds better. Let's see. These Alter Ego palettes can go. They were part of my Last Chance Kitchen style video I did a while back. If you haven't seen it, that's a fun one. And I just put them in the Banishment Project instead of decluttering them then. And I have not missed either of them. Goddess is a dupe for Gold from Natasha Denona. Canyon is a dupe for Bronze. I don't know. I think they're fine. I think some of the shimmers and glitters can be pretty lackluster. Like this one had a hard pan really easily and was just like pretty meh. I wouldn't, to be frank, I would not believe the people who are like, they're basically the same as Natasha Denona. I don't think that's true. I think these are much lower quality. If you just want the color story and you're like, I'm never going to be able to afford a Natasha Denona palette, I totally get why these would appeal to you, but I do want to be honest and say, I don't think they're adequate substitutes for me. Dupes in that they have the same color story with somewhat similar formulas, but the shadows are worse. I'm just going to be honest. My only real Natasha Denona MIDI palette is the Yucca palette. I'm going to keep it. I do have reservations though. Every time I only use this palette to build a look, I don't like the look. It's weird because if I had this palette like 3 years ago, it would have had pan in like several shades. I would have been obsessed with it because I was really into these muted olivey grungy tones then. And this is gonna sound a little like you're gonna be like, really? But it now gives me gender dysphoria. I don't know why. I think, you know, I do sort of know why. I think it just reminds me of when I wore makeup more as like boy bead or like mask grungy. And Not that I still don't love that look, especially on other people, but whenever I do it on myself now, I just feel really dysphoric. And I'm going to allow myself to feel that. I know it's a little odd, but I'm going to allow myself to feel it. I'm going to keep it, though, for these beautiful glittery shades. They are gorgeous, and I'm going to see if I can use these in conjunction with other things in my collection. These pans are also removable, so if I get into indie shadows and start to build my own palettes, I think this could be a lovely one to have. I will say I don't... I think I'm not going to buy from Natasha Denona anymore. Not for any, like, cancel-y reason, although if you want those reasons, I think they exist. But I never vibe totally with her color stories. Like, I know my friend Colin, like, this is their perfect neutral palette, which totally makes sense, and it looks great on them. And I think it looks fine on me. It's just, it's a very specific niche issue I'm having with this color story, and that's insanely personal to me. And I love the formula of these, like, really pretty glittery metallics. I get along okay with the matte formula, but the color stories and the colorways are always just a little bit off to me. And I was excited when this came out because I thought it might be the one that finally fits my preferences, but then I realized those were my old whole thing. So I think I may just, like, opt out of Natasha Denona now, save the money. But I am going to keep this one. I think that'll be good. I can't believe this is still here. This is the Huda Beauty Naughty Nude palette. This is my least favorite eyeshadow formula I've ever tried. I hated these. I hated all of the 5,800 formulas in this palette. The mattes, I would try to blend them out. They would all blend to the same color on me. Would blend halfway across my face, it felt like. The glitters were just Fallout City no matter what I did. These satins were just weird and wouldn't show up. I hated this palette. I regret buying it. Surprised it's even still in my collection. I don't know. I guess I feel guilty about all the money I spent on it, but oh well. I'm going to declutter Garden of Juvia's. This is actually pretty nice. I like these glitters if you're looking for something that's similar to indie or like maybe even Pat McGrath. Like, I'm not saying they're a dupe or for anything or a dupe for Pat McGrath at all, but they kind of give that really sheer glittery vibe, which is really pretty. These pastels work fine. They definitely take some layering. I just don't reach for this, and I really only reach for it for the lavender shades in here. I have lavender shades now from Viseart or Kaleidos that I much prefer, so that can go to a new home. Urban Decay Wild Greens. I actually liked this. I know a lot of people hated it. I think it's a pretty nice, solid palette. I find the metallic-y glitters are actually just fine. I know some people didn't like them. I like this sort of more satiny, metallic, really grungy green. The center corner shade is nice. I like that there's like a cool tone brown. It's a nice palette. I just don't reach for it. I have other neutral palettes I prefer, so I will pass that on. I'm going to declutter. Again, it says Muse Beauty on it, but I think the brand was K-Lab when it closed. I'm going to declutter both of these. This is the Honore and the Van Gogh palettes. I really did not get along with this one. This one, I love the color story. I think it's beautiful, but the metallics were like super, super unimpressive. Really didn't, like, kind of just like dry and not great on my eyes. The mattes didn't work as well as the other palettes mattes, so even though I like the color story, this is one that just didn't work out formula-wise. Formula is much better, or was much better, in this Van Gogh palette, and I love the theme. Van Gogh is one of my favorite artists. I love the aesthetic of this. I almost kept it for the aesthetic. I almost feel like keeping it for the aesthetic, but I have these sort of shades in other palettes, and then the ones I don't really need. The only shade I would miss is Starlight, but it's another one of those like metallics that I find just kind of underwhelming from the brand. I do think it's sad they're not around anymore because I liked the idea of doing art with makeup, and I thought their packaging was really pretty. All of that good stuff. It was woman-owned, but this is just one I don't reach for anymore. It's just not my favorite, even though I love the aesthetic of it. Getting a little harder now. Let's get rid of my last ColourPop palette ever. This is Limoncello. I love the mattes in here. The mattes in here, incredible. I was really like already acting like I was going to declutter this, but now I'm like, I like this mustard. I like this mustardy brown. That's a nice shade. This is a nice, like, I love all the mattes in here, and I could keep it, and when I get more into single shadows, like, depot it. I think I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to keep it. There's a real temptation for me, because I have such disgruntled feelings for ColourPop, to automatically declutter everything that's ColourPop that I have left in my collection so I can be rid of the brand. But the reality is I already bought this. I bought this with my money, and I think I could get good use out of it. I like Viseart's matte formula a lot more than ColourPop's, but like I don't have like a mustardy shade. I mean, it's in the Natasha Denona formula, but these are a little bit almost less desaturated. This blue is actually pretty nice. The only bummer about this palette, besides who made it, is the Easy Peasy shade. If that was like an actual really good like duochrome, that would, like, this palette would never be going anywhere. But it's kind of a dud. It is a dud shade. But if I get more into indie shadows, I can depot this. And I have been wanting to do kind of a mustardy red look with like, and I think I forgot I had this because it was in my banishment box. So I guess I'll keep that. I'm annoyed I'm keeping it, but it's fine. I'm actually going to declutter Teresa's Lethal. I love Teresa's Dead. I was really excited when I got this palette, and I used it a bunch. Like, this embossing is almost worn out on Pew Pew. I will say, I find these I think one's a trichrome, one's duochrome. I find them pretty lackluster, and I don't find them to have good staying power. I don't find them to have good staying power on the skin. This silver shade, I don't love silver, actually. I don't love a true silver, so that doesn't get a lot of use out of me. I have other shades like this cool tone brown. Like, it's, it's a good shade to have in here, but definitely dupeable in my collection. And then the other ones are nice. I have like a deep plum. This is probably like, and I have a lavender, and I would rather go with a true lavender that has more purple than a pinky lavender. The green shades down here are not my favorite values of green on me. And then I like this like dusky blue light color, but I don't know. It's just not a palette I reach for anymore, because if I'm going to go colorful, I prefer like the Kaleidos or even some of my Viseart shades, or even like Sea Talk from Odin's Eye. So, I mean, I guess I could like depot and keep Space Duster, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to pass it on. I do really like Lethal's matte formulas, and I would maybe like to try other things from them eventually. This is a gift from Tom. I don't like this palette. I don't know. I know a lot of people love the Color Story. I will say I really like this shade down here. This like darkened, plummy, like grungy shade is kind of delicious. I really like this shade. And I've gotten like nice looks out of this palette. It's just not a Color Story I find myself wanting to reach for. I find Odin's Eye shimmers or glitter shades really frustrating to work with. Some days they work great, other days they don't. They get hard pan really easily. It's kind of annoying, and I think I'm just gonna pass this on. I'm gonna keep Sea Talk, even though I actually used these mattes the other day and they did not perform very well. I love Iridescent Shell, but mine already has hard pan. Sea Spray is a really pretty shade. I don't know. It's not a perfect palette, and I could see, like, I don't know. I was so into it when I first got it, but I feel like the formulas, I don't know what's happening. I don't know if it's like the hard pan situation or the mattes are just looking less impressive next to Viseart mattes, but I've fallen a little bit out of love with this. I do love this inky blue shade. That's great. Like, this whole corner is actually amazing, and I like Iridescent Shell. Maybe I just need to get the hard pan out. Electric, like, I still like this Color Story. I like most of the shades. I am just kind of side-eyeing it a little because I just love it a little bit less than I did when I first bought it. I still love Lauren, though. Lauren's incredible. I think we all love Lauren, right? And then the Dior Amber Neutrals. Here's my dilemma. I don't care about this eye primer. It works, like, okay, but nothing impressive. This brown shade is kind of, for me, for someone else probably not, but for me, an awkward color because it doesn't do a lot of, like, it doesn't give me depth, but it's also not a great transition shade. It's a little lost on me. This goldy highlight, I don't like a gold inner corner or even like a gold shimmer most of the time. These metallics are pretty lackluster, not that impressive. And so we get to the bottom row. This is like too pinky cranberry. I have other dark browns that I prefer. I love this shade though. I love this warm, reddy brown. That's just not enough reason to keep this, even though it was expensive. And again, I bought it with my own money. I think it's just a little, it doesn't, it doesn't wow me, and it's not something I reach for except to reach for this shade. And I think somebody else could get more use out of it, so I'm going to declutter that. Alright, I'm getting rid of all of these, and then I'm going to keep my two Pat McGrath palettes, Kaleidos palette, Limoncello from ColourPop. This is a shocker, kind of. I really thought I was going to declutter this, but something's just telling me, like, I shouldn't. And I'm just going to go with that. Owens IC Talk, my couple of Viseart palettes, and Natasha Denona Yucca. But the rest of this will go to new homes. Or I think some of them are just old and I don't feel comfortable passing on, but I think the vast majority of these I can give to others. So that'll be good. All right. We have face primers now. The categories are a little bit more manageable than on my eyeshadow palettes, which is nice. All right. I don't think I'm going to declutter a lot of these. I think I actually think I can use up most of these. I'm going to keep for sure this Rare Beauty illuminating primer. Definitely not like my favorite primer or anything, but I'm halfway through it. It's just a mini, and it is something I like to use every day, just like a priming, glowy moisturizer type primer, especially since I have dry skin right now. So this is going to actually probably just be used up soon. So I'll keep that. I'm going to keep my Milk Hydro Grip. I do think it's kind of going... It's darkening in color, which I know can happen with this product. But I do need to use this up soon. So maybe after the Rare Beauty, I'll try to focus on this one. I kind of prefer it for more hot weather, though. So I'm going to keep it still, see if it makes it to the spring and summer and still is okay to put on my face. But I do like this primer a good bit if I want my makeup to stay in place. I don't know what I want to do with that. I am going to keep this e.l.f. Poreless Putty. I have not used this in a while. It was banished in the banishment box. And I missed it, actually. I thought about it and was like, I kind of miss her and would like to use her. Again, maybe after the Rare Beauty, this is also one I could focus on because it sort of does give... It helps with pore filling, but really what it does is just like make the skin a nice canvas for makeup, which I guess is what all primers, or kind of the idea of primers is supposed to be. I feel like nowadays, not as much, but it's just like a really good solid primer. I am curious if I'll find it as nice on my drier skin that I have now, but I do want to try it out and see. And it's like halfway empty. Like I've used a good bit of it already, so that is one I'll keep. I am going to declutter this Milk Makeup matte one. I have drier skin now because of HRT, and even when I had like an oily T-zone, like it's just so mattifying. It's actually really, really nice if you need like a true mattifying primer. So I'm sure I can find somebody who will benefit from this, but I'm going to declutter it. I'm going to keep my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter for Superstar Youth Glow. I'm almost done with it. I'm so close. I've been working so hard. I mean, okay, not working so hard. Like, obviously, that's not like an actual, like, incredible accomplishment. But I have been, like, really intentional about using it. You can see it's all the way down to the bottom here. Hoping I can finish it by the end of the year. So that's definitely staying. I don't know what I'm going to do with these three. So I have the Drunk Elephant De Bronzy drops. I use these more in the summer. What's the date on these? It gives you 12 months. And I bought them... Like, I think they're already within, like, or out of their should use by window, but I don't really believe that. They're mostly empty, though. I've used probably, like, I don't know, 80% of the bottle at this point. But I just don't need to darken my foundation anymore right now. But I think I'll just move this to my skincare area and keep them for next summer. Because I think I could finish them up. It won't be until then. And I think that'll be fine. Right? Right. These two. Oh, Lord. See, this is an example of, why do I own the Hollywood Flawless Filter, the Auric Glow Lust, and the e.l.f. Halo Glow liquid filter? Like, there's no reason. Especially because it's not like I've done content around this comparing them. Because I just don't want to do that. I don't know. So I don't... I'm a little upset I bought all of them. I'm trying to get over that. But I've used up half of this Auric Glow Lust used up less of this e.l.f. The thing is, both of them are much more sort of tan, golden summer shades. And like this e.l.f. one is really yellow. And like that works for me actually during the summer, but right now, not as much. This Auric one is also really peachy. This is in the shade Selenite. Oh my gosh, look how peachy that is. Look how yellow that is. So in the summer they can be nice, but I had the Auric one for a while. I haven't had the e.l.f. one for a while. The e.l.f. one does go Simpson on me sometimes, though. You know, I think I'm going to shock the world a little here. I'm going to declutter both of them, which I don't think I was expecting to do, but... Oh gosh, this is hard. I'm going to keep the Auric because I'm already halfway through it. I think I could give the e.l.f. to somebody, although it's like a doe foot situation. I just think they're both a little deep for me right now. Like that Auric is so... hasn't honestly never been my shade. I should have bought the lighter one. The e.l.f. one actually works better, if I'm being honest with myself. So maybe I keep the e.l.f. one... I don't know if I want to keep the e.l.f. one though. I don't think I'm going to use it though. This feels bad, but I think it's necessary. I think I'm going to declutter the Auric one. And then this e.l.f. It's just so yellow. I could use it as like a glowy bronzer, like a light skin tint. I have used it as a skin tint before and it looks nice when I'm a little bit tanner. I'm going to keep the e.l.f. one for now. Alright, so yeah, like I said, I didn't see myself decluttering a lot of these, and I sure didn't. Here are the ones I'm keeping. Just decluttering the Milk Makeup Matte one and the Auric Glow List. Here are all my foundation / skin tints. I will say sometimes I use like the Hollywood Flawless filter or the e.l.f. Halo Glow as a skin tint like product, but sometimes I also use them as highlighters. They're multi-purpose, so I put them in primers. I hope that's okay. I think it is. So I'm definitely keeping both of my Glossier skin tints. I have G11 and G9. G11's more of my like, definitely like winter shade. G9 is like a little dark even in the summer, but these are so sheer that this just kind of gives me like a nice tan and looks better than G11 in the summer. I also mix them or like use both of them, and like this on perimeter, this on the inner parts of my face, all of that good stuff. So these are definitely staying. I love my Glossier skin tints. Also love my Glossier foundation. I have the shade Light 1. I think I've talked about this on my channel, but I have just been loving this foundation. It's glorious. I love her. So she's staying for sure. This is actually almost used up. I thought I might have used it up today and I wouldn't have to include it, but I think there's still a little bit left in there. So this is the Say Slip Tint in the shade 3. I really only use this as like a true tinted moisturizer. I don't like to use this with a lot of makeup because it is so slippy and skincare-y. But for the days when I have no time and I just need to put something on with my hands, this is wonderful. I would absolutely repurchase this. It just makes your skin look plump and super healthy. And this happens a lot with Glossier skin tint too, but this is one of those products I get told a lot, your skin looks incredible. And I'm like, oh, it's actually a tinted moisturizer. And people are like, what? I'm like, yeah. So I've recommended this to a lot of people because I think it's a good product, especially if you have dry skin. I think you have to have dry skin. If you have oily skin, it's so oily and emollient. Emollient? I'm going to go with, like, that's a word for sure, I think, right? I don't know. Anyway, highly recommend. I'm definitely almost out of it. And I'm going to declutter both of these. This is a NYX Bear With Me Blur Foundation. When I had oilier skin, especially in the summer, this was nice-ish. I have it in the shade Vanilla. I mean, it can look very drying on the skin, so you have to definitely moisturize well, unless you're like super oily, I suppose. Although even then, I would still moisturize well. My thing with this one, I had a really like nice amount of like a lot of coverage, definitely blurred and mattified. It actually didn't keep me matte for most of the day though. Like it would go oily again on me in my T-zone when I was oily. Again, I have drier skin now. So I don't know if I would like really, really recommend it. There's probably better drugstore matte foundations than this. It was fine though. I just have no purpose for it and I have like a ton left. So I think I can pass that on. And then House Labs. Controversial, y'all, but I don't like this at all. I don't like it at all. I have it in the shade 110 light. Is that 110? 110 light neutral. I thought I was really going to like it. I mean, that's why I bought it. I don't usually buy things if I don't think I'll like them. I don't understand. I mean, I'm not saying, when I say I don't like a product, I don't mean that it's a bad product and that everyone else is lying to you. I believe that people really love this foundation and it's their holy grail. For me, though, it's absolutely not. It looks so heavy on my skin no matter what I do. And I had mentioned before on my Instagram, like, hey, I'm having some issues with House Labs. People are like, well, have you tried this? Have you tried that? And I'm like, okay, yes, I have tried everything. Please don't suggest anything. I just don't like it. It looks so heavy. It looks so dry on me no matter what I do. It's interesting because so many people are like, oh my god, it just looks like skin, and this has never looked like skin on me. I find the Glossier to look a lot more like skin than this one ever does. It's also really hard to sheer out because a little goes such a long way. I just did not get along with this. I know some people do. I think it's pretty hit or miss. You either love it or hate it. I really despised it. I personally don't recommend it, but I know some people who do. So, and I'm sure somebody's going to be really excited that I'm going to give them like a $50 foundation. So that'll be fun either way. All right, so I'm going to keep these 4, and then I'm going to declutter my House Labs foundation and the NYX Bear With Me Blur. Oh, Lord. All right, these concealers are like really wanting to roll away. Oh, that works. All right, I'm just going to put this here. I have so many concealers. I have too many concealers. This is a little stressful. Gonna go ahead and declutter this e.l.f. color corrector. Raise your hand if you thought you needed a green color corrector because you are a fair to light person who watches Hannah Louise Poston. Yeah, same for me. This just makes me look seasick. I don't have olive undertones. And I know there's like ways to use green color corrector even if you don't have olive undertones. It just wasn't that helpful for me. It just made me look like alphabet coded, which I guess if I was gonna go as alphabet for Halloween, that would be helpful, but I'm not. And I didn't. I went as Countess Luann. It would be fun if the Countess ever got cast in Wicked. Let's all manifest that, please. None of these are like my favorite, I have to be honest. Like, it feels ridiculous to have 7 concealers and be like, I don't love any of them. But that's just kind of the truth. Let me see how this Kosas one smells. Because this Kosas one has been in the Banishment Project for a while, and I think I'm going to actually keep it because I've noticed my other concealers are a little light on me, and this one is a little, like, it's more just like my skin tone match. I don't know. I've used up an entire Revealer concealer before. It's not my favorite, but it's not, like, it's definitely not terrible. It's a good concealer. I find it's a little too emollient, and a little too eye creamy. Like, I know it claims to be concealer and eye cream, and I don't think that's a benefit sometimes, is what I'll say. I don't think it wears very well. But I also, like, clearly I've used up a lot of this, so I think I could just push myself and use this up, and that would be better than giving it away. So, gonna keep that. I'm gonna keep my Milk Makeup Future Fluid Concealer. This is one that's good to use for like beard correction. Also looks good under the eyes. It's just a little light. Honestly, it looks a little pinky there. That's interesting. But when it goes on, like, it probably looks fine on camera, but it just, I really hate a bright under eye on me. It just never looks good. So this Milk Makeup and the Tower 28 are the 2 concealers I've been using in regular rotation. And even though this looks like it would be a really good, this Tower 28 Serum Concealer in CC looks like it'd be a really good match for me, for my, like, just not brightening shade. It just kind of always goes brighter than I want it to. So I'm thinking I can mix these with the Kosas and that would be good. So I'm going to do that. Keep both of those. Did I say my Milk Makeup shade? It's in 5W, this Revealer. Wait, not Revealer. Future Fluid Concealer. All right. I'm going to declutter the rest of these. Let's go through them. Pat McGrath. I got this in the shade L6. I meant to get L5. It was too late by the time I realized that, so I just tried to use it, but it's just a little too orange for me. And it's very, yeah, it just like has too much orange in it, and it's very full coverage. It's a little hard to sheer out, so I'm going to declutter that. I'm going to declutter the Say for the opposite reason. It's way too bright. I really like this formula, actually. The Say... Hydra Beam? I think it's Hydra Beam. It's in really small text though. This one is like not only too light, it's like almost like a pink color corrector. Like it's so pink. It's way too pink. I shouldn't have bought it, but I did. And now I'm gonna declutter it because I just, if I hate it, like I hate a bright under eye with other things, but this like gives me like Phantom of the Opera vibes. Like I don't like it. I would buy that formula again in the crack shade though. It's a really nice formula. This Rare Beauty one, I've used a lot of it, but it's just so, it's in 230 neutral, which is really dark. But I will say, one thing about concealers, if you're trying to buy them for your actual skin tone, a lot of them have brightening properties in them. So you have to go darker than you think because they have a sort of brightening complex in them. Should I keep that? This one's also was a little too matte last year, and I'm even more dry skin, so I am gonna declutter that. I don't think I would ever use that. And then I have tried to use this up. I hate it. I'm over it. I'm just gonna toss it. I'm sorry. I know that's bad, but I'm not gonna force myself to use a concealer that I absolutely cannot stand. Like at least with the Kosas one, like it's all good. Like it's not my favorite, but it's nice and hydrating. Blah blah blah. This one is just I hate that it's a pump. I think that's, I guess some people enjoy that. I hate it. It's so inconvenient. I like don't reach for it so much because of the pump. And then the formula, I will say the shade's a little too light bright on me again. And I just, the formula's fine. I just find it goes a little slippy and it looks heavy even when I set it with powder. I don't like this, and I don't like the packaging, and I'm not going to force myself to use it up, so I'm going to declutter that. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of these 5 and just keep these 3, the Tower 28, the Kosas Revealer, and the Milk Makeup Future Fluid. Alright, setting powders. It's going to be pretty easy. I'm going to keep my Kosas Cloud Set. This is gonna, I think this is going to continue in the long line of me not ever loving the Kosas products I buy, but always using them up. I've liked this powder better since I'm dry now. I will say, a lot of people are like, you can use as much as you want and it doesn't show, it doesn't look dry. Vehemently disagree. Even when I had oilier skin, I think it's pretty easy to overdo this and it can make my pores look really heavy if I go in with multiple layers. So I don't think it's like foolproof at all, as foolproof as people say, but I do like it enough that I will keep it and use it up since I did buy it with my own money, and I don't hate it, I just think it's overrated. This Makeup Forever Powder Foundation, oh, the Kosas was in the shade Breezy. This Makeup Forever Powder Foundation in 1Y08, which is like a phenomenal skin tone match for me. I would actually consider buying complexion products from Makeup Forever in the future just because this shade match is pretty killer for me. It's a nice neutral yellow without being too Simpson-y. Like, it's a great shade match for me. So I use this both as a powder foundation. I also use it sometimes just to set, especially if I want more coverage. It's a phenomenal powder. It doesn't look dry. I will say it doesn't like keep me matte. Especially when I had dry skin, but it does set things and gives really, really nice coverage, especially if you use a sponge or a dense brush, and it's a great shade match. So I'm definitely keeping that. And then I am going to keep this Many of the Charlotte Tilbury pressed powder. I have the shade 1 Fair. This is really nice powder. I hate that I love it so much. And I'm also annoyed that I ever bought it, because I bought this because I was in the Wrap of Death at Sephora. And I saw it, and I saw the price was $14, and I was like, you know what, for $14, let me try this powder I've always wanted to try. Joke's on me, I misread the sign, and this powder is $28. And I got to the register, and I noticed my total was higher than I thought, and it's because this was $28, but at that point I was too far in, I had to buy it. So I don't totally regret it, because I do really love this powder. It'll be good for when I'm traveling in a couple weeks. Yada, yada, yada. Beautiful formula. Would I buy full size? Unfortunately, yes, even though I don't love Charlotte Tilbury as a brand for multiple reasons, but it's a nice powder. You gotta give it to him. It's a nice powder. To declutter all the rest of these, this is the Rare Beauty loose powder in light. Oh, come on, Selena. This is Laura Mercier translucent loose powder. This was like a birthday perk one year. And then this is the Well People Super powder. If you like a bright under eye and you like the Kosas powder, this Well People powder would probably be great for you. It's just, again, I don't love a bright under eye. So why did I buy a really brightening powder, you may ask? I don't know. And again, that's what I'm doing the work toward, not doing that anymore. And not being addicted to buying beauty products. Anyway, so I'm gonna declutter all of these actually. This one's too brightening for me. This Laura Mercier just looks too dry on me. I know some people are like, it's a great dry skin powder, but I'm not into it. I almost said this Glossier. This Rare Beauty does remind me a lot of the Wowder, which is the only face powder I've ever used up. I just used it up a couple of months ago. The Wowder from Glossier. I love that product. I prefer it to this one. This one has a little bit of a pink tint, which I think could be good for some people. I have some pink in my skin. My skin's like yellow, neutral, a little bit of pink, but this just gives me pink face pretty easily. It's a nice formula. Again, reminds me of Wowder, which I really do love, but I'd rather just repurchase Wowder than use this because it just, I don't know, whenever I use it, I would think it looked good and then I would zoom out and I'd be like, I look a little pink, which I don't love. So gonna declutter these three and keep these three, which I feel pretty good about. I'm very confident I can finish all of these, that, these are like a really good, like this is a good powder wardrobe for me. I think this was just clutter that I'm now going to declutter as we are doing here. So that'll be good. How many times have I said that'll be good in this video? Right, these are my bronzers and contours. I'm going to get rid of most of these. I guess half of them. Definitely going to keep this Gucci bronzer. I have it in the shade 01. This is one of my favorite products of all time. I love the component. It's so beautiful. I even love the smell of this. I know a lot of people really hate the smell of Gucci products. If they made a fragrance, I would wear the fragrance, and I guess I would annoy all of y'all since you hate the scent. So I guess it's good they don't make a fragrance, so we can all still be friends. But I am so excited to one day hit pan. I feel like it's coming. I have a huge dent, and I wear this basically every day. It's gorgeous on its own, gorgeous to layer over things. Very expensive, but a product I get a lot of value out of. Also going to keep this M Cosmetics stick in Terra. I use this nearly every day too. I'm almost done with it. It's a great bronzer. I don't support M Cosmetics anymore, but I do quite like this formula, and this color is just a really nice, not too dead contour on me. So I appreciate that. I'm gonna keep this Milk Makeup bronzer, and actually, it's over there. I'm going to keep this Milk Makeup bronzer in the shade Shapeshift. It's a shade darker than one I would buy, but this again is something that Tom sent me, and I can make it work if I use a very small amount with a sponge when I'm tan. When I'm a little bit more tan, it really is a beautiful bronzer. It applies beautifully. If I'm just a little bit careful, which I don't mind being, this is also wonderful to mix in with foundations or things to darken them, or even like if I mix this with the e.l.f. Halo Glow, I could get a really nice glowy bronzer. And because of that, I don't have it like within arm's reach, but I'm going to declutter my Drunk Elephant De Bronzy, and I think just get rid of that because this kind of does the same thing and can live in my makeup collection and also be a bronzer. So I'm going to keep this and actually declutter the De Bronzy from earlier. I'm going to declutter all of these. Glossier Solar Paint. I have bemoaned this and honestly talked a lot of crap about this on my channel because it's terrible. It's an awful bronzer. Mine's pretty old. I got it when it came out, which is a while ago. I have it in the shade Flare. Super patchy, lifts everything up. Weirdly glittery, but not glittery. Not like in a shimmery, nice way, just in an awkward, you have flecks of glitter on your face. This product is terrible. Glossier needs to discontinue it and release a new bronzer. Danessa Myricks Toasted Almond. I should have gotten Nutcracker, not Toasted Almond. That was my mistake. It's just too dark for me really to use. I could keep it for like as like a lip color or an eye color because it's multi-use, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to declutter it. I'm also going to declutter this Milani bronzer. This is their powder bronzer. They're Silky Matte in Sunkissed. It's nice. I find it to be a little stampy. I really find most powder bronzers to be pretty stampy on me. That's why I love the Gucci so much. It's such a smooth, beautiful formula. This one is a nice option from the drugstore, and it's a really nice, like, cool golden tone. I would say that's pretty unique, but it's just not something I'm going to use, so I'm gonna pass that on. Alright, so I'm gonna get rid of these three and keep my Gucci bronzer, my M Cosmetics stick, and my Milk Makeup liquid bronzer. I feel like those weren't positioned very well. Oh well, they're going away now. Stretchy, stretch, stretch. Oh Lord, y'all, it's blush time. Alright, my blushes. I clearly have quite a few. Alright, what do I want to do here? I definitely want to keep all my Phytosurgeons blushes. I have Evaporate, Sublimate, and Condensate. I'd say Condensate's probably my favorite, then Evaporate, then Sublimate, but I mean, look what a beautiful color palette that is. Just such unique shades, gorgeous matte formula that is super blendable, pretty fail-proof. I absolutely love these, so I'm going to keep all of them. I'm going to keep one of my cloud paints and declutter the other. Glossier Puff, I really like. This is the newer one for me. Really nice cool tone pink. Has a nice amount of white in it, so it's good to lighten up other shades. And then I'm going to declutter Dusk. This always just pulled a little jaundicey on me, but I did clearly use a lot of it up because for a while it was my only true neutral blush, and I used to be really, really scared of blush. So I appreciate the memories, but I think this one, it's time to go. What else? I'm going to keep, say, Spicy from their Dew Blush line. This is a pretty nice formula. I actually decluttered one of these a bit ago and gave it to a friend because the color just looked a little patchy and weird on me. This one I don't, even though it's darker, I don't find it does that. I think the other one just mimicked my redness too much. This is a beautiful terracotta color. It looks really, really great. It's actually kind of flexible because it can look really summery, but I also think it's really good for like warmer autumnal looks, which I appreciate. So definitely keeping that. Decluttering this Persona blush in terracotta. They even say on their website this is more geared toward darker skin tones than me. And this looked even more jaundicey on me than Glossier Dusk did. So I like the formula of this, but the shade is just wrong, and that's my bad. I will take the fall for that. Patrick Ta blush in She's So LA. Can I open it? I hated this. I've talked about how much I hate this formula. I've tried and tried, but I mean, the tone's nice. It's like a really reddy, bronzy color, but the powder formula looks mid. It looks kind of like heavy, a little patchy. And then this cream formula is my least favorite cream I've ever tried. It's just weird and silicone-y and looks heavy on the skin. It's like, you know how some blushes, like I feel like the Phytosurgeons, melt into your skin beautifully, just look absolutely seamless and skin-like. That's the opposite of what this does. I am going to keep my Say Glow Sculpt in Mauve Glow. Really nice cream formula. It sort of looks like it has hardband, but it doesn't. It's just, it's a pretty unique formula. Kind of goes cream to powder, very creamy, very, very, almost like a highlighting blush, but really, really pretty. Keeping that for sure. How could I have not kept this yet? Pat McGrath Flirtatious. I really want to hit ban on this year. I don't know if it's going to happen, even though I use it pretty much every day. Every time I do my makeup, I use this to layer over other things. By far my favorite powder blush I've ever tried. I would rebuy this if I lost this in a heartbeat. Also going to keep my 2 Essence Pure Nude Baked Blush. I do prefer the shade Goldie Cassis, this purple one, because it's pretty unique and just is so great for cooler toned looks, for like a nice purpley moment. These are really beautiful in highlighting on the skin. I don't find they emphasize too much texture if you use a light hand with them. I also like the shade I have, Shimmery Rose, if I want more of a warm pinky highlight. But both of these are actually really nice, especially for the price, even though the writing's already rubbed off on them. I'll be keeping both of those. I'm going to declutter this Bare Minerals bronzer. I just got a shade that was way too dark for me. I think I would like, I mean, this formula is pretty similar to the Essence. It's just a lot more pigmented and the shade's a lot darker, and it swatches more like an eyeshadow on my skin. So I could make this work sometimes with blush draping, but now that I have the Essence ones, I just don't think I need to keep it around. I can pass it on to somebody who it will work for better. So that'll be good. Said that'll be good again. I'm gonna keep this Ilia stick, even though it's a mini and I hate minis, because I like the shade a lot. It's a nice like berry shade, and I don't have a lot of berries. I've actually been dreaming of a really creamy berry shade, so I need to use it more. I just hate that it's a mini, even though it was like technically free through the birthday reward Sephora thing. It just gets so lost on my vanity, but I'm gonna try to make an effort to use it because I do love that shade, and it's something I've been looking for actually. Keep this Fenty blush in Petal Poppin'. Gorgeous, bright pink. I love it on me. Gonna keep this Dior Corally Glow, whatever it is, blush. See, I actually really do like the formula of this. It's very sheer and it's really good to layer if I just want like a corally, peachy pop on my skin. So I will say it's like pretty worth a hype, although I think they reformulated this. I think they're pretty similar, but I don't know if they're exactly similar. But I'm gonna keep this. Gonna keep Rare Beauty and Courage. Actually, am I? I don't know why I'm saying that. Maybe I'll swatch it. It's like a nudie purple. No, I have that all over, but I am gonna keep it. It's also nice to have more liquid blushes around because I can mix them and make custom colors. Am I going to keep Rose Ink? This has survived so many declutters. I barely use it, even though it has a little bit of a dent. I'm going to declutter this, actually. It smells pretty. It smells a little crown-like. I'm going to declutter that because even when I keep it, I never reach for it. And if it's smelling weird, I should just probably toss that, which is sad, but I think that's what we'll do. All right, so I only decluttered these 5. I'm keeping all of these. I really like blush, clearly, and I like it. It's a product I'm comfortable having a lot of options in because I do cycle through them fairly regularly. And yeah, I'm going to declutter this Patrick Ta, this Rose Ink, one of these glossy cloud paints in Dusk, Bare Minerals bronzer, and my Persona powdered blush. Oh my lord, my legs are falling asleep, y'all. All right, highlighters. Definitely going to keep Fenty Beauty Kilowatt Highlighter in Lightning Dust Fire Crystal. I've used the absolute crap out of this and intend to use it all the way up. It's a great highlighter. REM Beauty Miss Neptune. This is actually a gift from my friend Mackenzie. She saw I wanted this, and it's nice. I sometimes wish I had a more blinding indie version of this color, like blurple lavender highlight. But when I want a lavender highlight, it certainly scratches the itch. And I actually I like the MacBook UFO packaging. I think it's cute. I'm gonna keep Victoria Beckham Pearl. This was also in the box that Tom sent me. The products that Tom sent me. I know, how generous are they? It's a great product. I mean, it's not. I don't know if I would say great. It's a pretty good product. I wouldn't have bought it myself, and if I had bought it myself, I don't think I would have thought it's worth the money. But for a nice natural lift from within highlighter, it certainly works and looks really pretty. I just don't know if it's worth the price. Gonna declutter the rest of these. This was another thing that K-Lab threw in my order when they were going out of business. These are just too dark for me, and the mica content in these is kind of wild. Like, you can feel the particles. It's a little rough. I don't love it, so I think that can definitely get tossed. Flower Beauty Day Glow Highlighting Balm. This is pretty. It's just, I mean, this Victoria Beckham is just a little bit better version of it, so that can go. Glossier Halo Scope, one of the OG Lift From Within balmy highlighters, but I think technology and other products has caught up to this, and it's just not, it's not as special anymore, and it doesn't really do much. It doesn't like to stick around, lifts makeup up. It's just, there's so much better out there than this. It's pretty, but I just want to use other things. And then I'm going to also declutter this Ilia Decades highlighter. This is a more golden than I like to wear even during the summer. And also, it just can look kind of heavy and texture emphasizing on the skin. I wish they had a lighter shade because I think I would like that better. But even though I have a little bit of a dent, I think I'm going to pass this on. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of these and keep the Fenty, REM, and Victoria Beckham highlighters. I also will say I use the Hollywood Flawless filter as like a highlighter a lot too, but I just decided again to put that in the primer category. I hope that's all right with y'all. Alright, this is kind of a random category. I have my face palettes out here, eyeliners, eye primer, brow products, lashes, setting spray, just because I don't have a lot of products in these categories, so I didn't want to like do them one by one. I figured I would just knock them all out. So I am going to keep, I just have Salt New York pans, and I consider these like my face palettes. I have this one in their smaller palette, which I don't love the packaging, but I'm gonna keep just to store. And then Tom sent me this empty palette when they sent me the makeup. And I think it's just one from Amazon, but I kind of like that I don't mind getting it dirty, clearly, and it fits actually the Salt New York pans better than the Salt New York like larger palette does, which I think is funny. So I'm going to keep all of these. Cocoa, Rose, those are blushes. I'm going to keep the Skin Tan from Salt New York, this light medium bronzer, and this taupe. I'm going to keep all of these. Also going to keep these. These are like their two summer sort of hybrid blush bronzer highlighter things. I'm going to keep both of those. Going to keep this terracotta blush from them. They don't make this anymore, but it's a really gorgeous lip color actually. I prefer it on the lips. It doesn't blend out super great on the cheeks. And then this is a highlighter from Salt New York that I actually really like. So consider these sort of my one or two face palettes, and I'm gonna just go ahead and keep them. What else? I have two setting sprays. Milk Makeup one is basically an empty, but you know, I have one or two sprays in it, so I thought I'd be honest and include it in this. Going to use that up, you know, probably tomorrow. And then the Wet n Wild Natural Finish, I don't like this very much. It's like tolerable, and I go through setting spray pretty quick. So I'm going to keep this and use it up, but I wouldn't repurchase, even though it's pretty cheap. My brow products, I forgot I had this Glossier Boy Brow in Blonde. I used this when I had bleached brows, when I wanted a little bit more of a brow look, but I don't have bleached brows anymore, so I'm just going to get rid of that. And then, let me see the other brow products. I have this Lift and Snatch pen. This is my only filling product, really. So I'm going to definitely keep the pen from NYX. I have this brow glue in dark brown from NYX. I'll go ahead and keep this. I don't know if I'll actually ever use it up. I don't love it. It just has pretty terrible hold. Then I have this brow lift from e.l.f. I don't actually... See, I like that it's like a pot and it's pretty easy to apply. I do find it falls a lot easier than the NYX brow glue. Not this one, but the NYX brow glue in clear. I think I prefer that product to this because it just has much better hold, but I'm just going to use this up. So these are my brow products, keeping those. I've actually never even applied false lashes in my life. One day though, I decided that I must own a pair because, I don't know, the false lash monster was going to come in the night and hurt me if I didn't. So to save myself and my family, I bought these lashes from Kiss. They're just the My Lash but better. They look pretty nice. If I ever wear lashes, I'm sure they'll be lovely. Also bought this glue, so I'm just gonna keep those around for the day that I maybe want to really femme it up and wear false lashes. This is my only eye primer. It's the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip. What I like about this is that it doesn't dry my eyelids out. I have drier eyelids, again, because I think HRT. They used to be a little bit more oily. However, I don't know if I love this. It kind of struggles to keep eyeshadow in place sometimes, and I also find with certain formulas like Pat McGrath, it actually works even worse. It's pretty incompatible with the Pat McGrath mattes, but I can make it work, and it's my only eye primer, so I'm just going to try to use this up. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend, although I do like that it has a doe foot applicator. I think all eye primers should have a doe foot applicator for ease of application. And there are things I like about it. I don't know if it's perfect though, but I do know it's good enough to use up. This is my only mascara right now. I absolutely hate it. Don't ask me why I bought this as a replacement for my Ilia mascara, because it's terrible, but I'm gonna keep it around since it's my only mascara. I think I'm gonna toss this soon and get a new one though. But for now it's gonna stay. Terrible mascara. And then I have a few pencil liners. I have NYX Burnt Sienna, Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal in black. I have a Pixie eyeliner. This is in the shade Brightening Lilac. And then I have a Pixie liner in, this is like a bronze color, bronze beam. I'm gonna keep all of these. I will say I don't find that this Brightening Lilac one likes to stick around for any amount of time, but sometimes I do like a brighter little waterline, and this is the only thing I have, so I'm going to keep it around. The other three work pretty well. Honestly, not in love with any of them, even the Victoria Beckham. I'm not as blown away by this as other people. I think it's a pretty good eyeliner. Almost too creamy. It's almost too pigmented. And I kind of wish I got, I think they have a gray shade called Ash. I kind of wish I had gotten that. But when I need a really black waterline, it works. I just have to become okay with it probably transferring and being a little smudgy throughout the night, which, you know, not ideal, but it is what it is. And then I have one liquid eyeliner. This is the Sephora High Precision eyeliner. It's one of those that has like a well and then like this type of brush tip. I think it works fine. I'm not a big liquid liner girl. I kind of wish I was. I love the look. Love those girls who just wear liquid liners every day. Y'all are keeping this country running, but that's not me. But when I do need to use it, it does work pretty well, and it's a lot easier for me than a traditional pen without the well. So I will keep this around. And that's the etc. category. Alright, these are all of my lip liners. Definitely going to keep Makeup Forever Wherever Walnut. I love this formula. I wish I had one that was like a little more taupe, like Endless Cacao, but for now I am pretty thrilled to have this. I'm going to declutter this e.l.f. Triangle lip liner in red. I don't understand, I'm going to rant a little. I don't understand why red lip liners go so pink when it's so hard to wear this with an actual red lipstick because it looks pinker than all of my reds. So I just wish like there was more of a true red in this line, or even in other lines. I just want like an actual maroon with like a lot of black and not like a lot of pink in it. Like I don't know if I'm describing this well, but it just annoys me how pink this goes. So I'm going to declutter it. I'm just gonna hold these for the sake of them not rolling away. Milani All Natural. I think I'm gonna keep this around. It's like a lighter version of Wherever Walnut. I prefer Wherever Walnut, but I'll get some use out of that. I'm gonna declutter I'm gonna declutter Milani Spice. I mean, I've basically used it all the way up, and it's a little bit more red and warm than I like to go with lip liner now, so I'm just going to toss that. It's really old. I'm going to keep this e.l.f. Love Triangle lip filler liner. I think it's in the shade light brown? Dark brown? Deep brown. It's in the shade deep brown. And I'm also going to keep... Is this Cafe au Lait or Cafecito? What shade is this? Yes, Cafe au Lait in the Milani Understatement lip liner. I do prefer the formula of the pencil liners from Milani, I will say. The wooden pencils, like the two I just showed. Prefer that formula, but this shade is like a nice sort of rosy brown. And then the e.l.f. one is a little bit deeper, so it's nice to have for contrast. I don't love the triangle shape, but the formula and the color make up for it. So I will keep those. So I'm going to keep 4 of these lip liners and declutter this e.l.f. red one and Milani Spice. This is sort of like lip balms, tinted lip balms. Wait, should this be in it? Tinted lip balms, lip oils, and lip glosses. I'm definitely going to keep all 3 of my OG Glossier Balm.coms. I have Rose, Lavender, and Swiss Miss. Almost done with Lavender and Rose. Halfway done with Swiss Miss. I wish Glossier would return to this formula. It is so much better. Oh well. Also going to keep Glossier Pony. I actually don't love the shade in the Ultra Lip. I wish I had gotten a more brown one. This just goes so pink on me, but it is still pretty, so I'm going to keep it. I am going to declutter these stupid minis. I hate a mini. They just are so hard to find in my collection, and I never want to keep them around, and I don't get good use out of them. And I did pay for these in like one of those like lip kits from forever ago. So I am going to declutter these. I actually like both of them, like the Lip Injection Extreme. It does burn, but I am not as sensitive to that, I suppose, because I don't mind how much it burns on my lips. Forgot the filler. This was in the shade Velvet. I would maybe buy a full size of this. It did make my lips look nice. Again, if I keep these, they're just gonna stay in my collection and not get used and get hidden in cups, because I like to store things in cups with the products. So I think those are just gonna go. I'm gonna declutter this fat oil, this fat lip drip oil, what a name, from NYX in the shade Scrollin'. It just goes too, I don't know, this just isn't my shade. It doesn't look super flattering on me. I like if I zoom out, I like that it's like this nice terracotta, but it doesn't look great on me. It tastes like a Jolly Rancher, which is neither here nor there, like that's fine. But it's just not my favorite, so I'm gonna declutter that. I'm gonna declutter this Rare Beauty lip oil. This is in the shade Honesty. This is one of my least favorite products I've ever tried. I think we all know now it's not like a typical lip formula. It's more based on like a K-beauty formula where it goes on as a lip oil but then leaves a stain. However, it's so drying, and not just that, even though I like the initial like nudie brown color it leaves on the lips, it dries to like this pink color that I don't really care for. And again, I just cannot emphasize enough how drying this product was on my lips. Pretty terrible. Also, you know what? Come back. I have more mean things to say. Also, incredibly patchy. It never looked even on my lips, which was really annoying. And then it would leave a stain that was patchy. So I hate this. I think these are terrible. This NYX clear, this is Juice Gloss in the shade Coconut Chill. It's just a clear shade. This is a really nice formula. It's a really nice clear gloss. It's my only clear gloss, but it gets the job done. It's good. I'm gonna declutter this rose ink thing. Lip color. I don't know what this is. It's a lip, maybe a lip sculpt is what it's called. It's in the shade Beams. I got this in one of those Sephora lip kits, which I regret buying wholeheartedly. It just, from the moment, okay, no, it won't even open. From the moment I got it, it had this weird stuff on it, which I think can sometimes just happen naturally, but it tastes really bad on the lips. You put it on and it's sort of like a tinted matte balm, but it instantly goes away. It doesn't even have longevity because it doesn't even really start staying on your lips. It's really weird, terrible product. Don't recommend. Don't buy the stupid Sephora lip sets. I'm also going to declutter this Tower 28 balm thing. I bought this on a whim. It was an impulse buy in Sephora when I wanted a Glossier Lucite and they didn't have Glossier Lucite. So I bought this because I thought it would be similar. It's not. It gives you a bit of a pretty pink look, but the formula is so thin and doesn't moisturize or even really make your lips look glowy at all. It's just kind of a nothing burger of a lip product. It's sort of like you kind of just put on nothing, although it's sort of slightly pink, but not really. doesn't do anything to hydrate. Pretty useless. And then I am going to keep this Dior Lip Glow Oil. I wouldn't say it's worth the price of admission. Definitely a little overrated, but I've almost used it up. I do think it is pretty, so it at least has that going for it. Gives your lips, like, it just gives my lips a really nice texture, just a hint of pink. I'm not gonna lie, it's a really nice formula. I guess I would rebuy it. I just would maybe look for a lower cost alternative, because even though I think it's a nice product, I'm not sure I believe that I would have to spend this much money to get the same thing. Since I did buy it, I am going to use it up, which I should use it up soon. Like, most of it's pretty much gone. And yeah. Right. So I'm gonna get rid of all of this, which I feel really good about. Like, when I don't like a lip product, clearly I really, really don't like it. And then I'm going to keep these, the Dior Lip Oil, the Glossier Ultra Lip, the NYX, this is Juice Gloss. NYX has some interesting names. And then my three beloved OG Balm.coms from Glossier I will guard with my life. All right, final category. Who's happy to be here? I'm happy to be here. I think I'm losing my voice. Lipsticks. So these are all my traditional, well, they're not all traditional. These are all my kind of more pigmented matte lipsticks. Have a few liquid lipsticks here, and most of them are in bullets. So let's get into it. Definitely decluttering this Rare Beauty matte lip souffle thing in, Brave. I find the formula to be a little patchy on this, and I also don't... online this color looks like a perfect terracotta, but in real life it has way too much white in it, so it kind of just always has this weird neon quality that I don't really enjoy. So I'm going to declutter that. I'm going to keep both of my Glossier G suits. I have one in Lane, which is a more like pinky mauve nude, and then I have Shift, which is my new favorite red. I just got Shift as a gift. I didn't buy it, but it is a recent item I have acquired. I really like the formula of these. They're definitely not drying, which I appreciate. They're not as long lasting as traditional liquid lipsticks, but they are nice and opaque, easy to reapply, and I don't feel like I need a lip liner with them, which I also appreciate. So both of these are definitely staying. I think I'm going to declutter both of my Say lip blurs. I like this formula. I appreciate it. The colors are really nice. I have one in Modern, which is more of a mauve nude, and then I have Classic, which is their red. Classic, now that I have Glossier Shift, Classic, it just goes too pinky red on me, which, as you heard in the lip liners, it's just kind of a pet peeve when it comes to red on me. I really prefer a true red or an orangey red, but when I want a true red, I want it to have more depth, and Glossier Shift definitely has, like, it's described online more as a burgundy or a deep red, and this one is definitely more of a true red, but it so easily goes so pinky on me. And this formula can also just be a little bit overwhelming. Like, you really almost, it's so pigmented that you have to like blot it on, and it can definitely look pretty and blurring, but it's just a lot of work that I don't want to put in when I'm applying a lip product, especially a higher end one. So even though I love Say, and like I love, like, even the packaging is like nice metal, feels really like almost like a Virginia Slim or something. I don't know. It's just I'm gonna pass on these, I think. I'm gonna keep MAC Marrakesh. This is one of my favorite summer shades. Just like a gorgeous terracotta orangey red with like some brick in it. Classic MAC matte lipstick, but really nice. I'm gonna keep Juvia's Place Muted. Whenever I want like a really cool toned neutral brown, this is great to either mix in or wear on its own or with a lip liner. Really nice packaging for how much I paid for it too. Like the airbrushed pink, and it's not like super weighty, but I mean, it feels better than, I used to have a Charlotte Tilbury lipstick that was very cheapy peepy, so Appreciate this. I think it's a nice formula. Same with this. Oh, come on. Same with this e.l.f. one. This one's even nicer packaging. This is their O Face line. Really nice, like, magnetic packaging. This is in the shade No Doubt. I sort of consider this like a more peachy version of Juvia's Place Muted. So when I want to wear just like an easy brown, but I want it to have a little bit more warmth to it, this is a great option. Feels really lovely on the lips. I know these are dupes for the NARS lipsticks. I've never tried those though, so I just know it's a nice lipstick on its own accord. I'm going to keep all of my e.l.f. Seriously Satin lipsticks. I think these are getting phased out. Last time I checked, you could still get them on the e.l.f. website only. But I might even like them better than the e.l.f. O-Face formula, and they were much cheaper. And I think if you can get them on the e.l.f. website, they may be for sale for only $2. I have Creme, which is like a really, really light nudie pink. Cider, which is a bricky color. I think this one's Pepper, which is like an orangey peppery color. And then I have Cocoa, which is sort of like a brown with like a little bit of like, I don't know, plumminess to it, like a darkened plum. These are just, I mean, first of all, they kind of like remind me of KKW's like original like plasticky lipsticks, and I always wanted one of those. And I mean, they're very cheapy, but like I just like, there's something like luxurious about like the component to me for some reason. The formula is like a really nice semi-satin but mostly matte lipstick with not totally opaque but can be built up to be opaque. Blots off really well. They wear really well. The colors are so great. I sort of, whenever I get an inkling to buy one of those Merit lipsticks. I'm not saying these are dupes. I don't know if they're dupes. I've never tried a Merit lipstick. But these kind of give me that vibe. So I really treasure these. I wish e.l.f. would expand where they're available, because I do think it's such a nice formula for a really, really good price. But and the colors. The colors are so great. Like Cider. I lost Cider once when I went out and I left like a jacket at some bar, and I rebought it. I repurchased this after I lost it, because it is, I need to start wearing this more. It's the perfect fall bricky shade. It's really, really special. I will sing e.l.f. Seriously Satin praises until they are completely discontinued. And maybe even beyond then. Alright, my Glossier Generation G lipsticks. I have Leo here. It's pretty much done, and I think I'm gonna let it go finally. I actually had already said I'm gonna declutter this earlier this year, and then it got sent to the banishment box, and then I was thinking about it, so I pulled it back out, and it's just done. Like, I think Glossier is reformulating these actually, and they're releasing a new version, so maybe I'll try that down the road, because Leo is definitely one of my favorite lipsticks of all time. I mean, I basically used it all the way up. I actually really like this formula. As long as you have moisturized lips, I don't find it to be too drying. I love the blotted look. They're so easy to apply. And Glossier says they're going to fix the issue with the cracking caps. So that's the one downside to these. So hopefully that'll happen. This one's just old though, and it's like drier than it should be, even with like it being a matte formula. I don't really want to reach for it anymore, and I think it's just time to toss it. I think we had a really good run, Glossier Leo. We had a really good run. And then Glossier Zip. This is like a poppy version, like poppy red in that line. Even though I like this formula, the poppy shade just has never been my favorite. It looks fine, but if I'm going to wear red, I'd just like to wear red. I don't want to wear like a muted red, so... And then even if I do, I want it to be more of like a bricky red, which I have other shades like that. So I'm going to declutter this. I think that'll be fine. I'm going to declutter this Dior red. Same issue I've had with the Say red. It just goes pinky, and now that I have Glossier Shift, I just want to wear that if I'm going to wear something like this. So even though that was a very expensive liquid lip, and it's a nice formula, it's just, again, too pinky. Why are reds always too pinky? Riddle me this. And then Rare Beauty Wise. It's like a brown with a hint of like mauve in it, but a little bit darker than some of my other nudie mauve options. Or mauve. Is it mauve or mauve? I kind of switch in between, I'm going to be honest. I don't have a strong stance on that. This will stay though. I do like this color. I will say the formula. These fade really quickly for me. This fades really quickly for me. Even though I think it's nice. You know what? Maybe I'll declutter this because I have other. Do I want to do that? I'm gonna keep it. No, I still like to wear this sometimes, even though it fades pretty quickly. I find the shade to be pretty special, so I'm gonna keep that. Alrighty, last category. I'm gonna keep all of these lipsticks, and then I'm good to declutter these. The Dior liquid lipstick. This is in the shade. This is like their signature 999 shade. It's too pinky. Both these say blur things. What the fuck are they called? Lip blurs. Both say lip blurs. The Rare Beauty liquid souffle, whatever, and then both the Glossier Generation G lipsticks. And one final. That'll be good. Alright, y'all. Here are all of the items I am decluttering. I would say 40 to 50% of my collection. I feel like that's fair to say. Here is my final collection. So after everything got sorted through, here's what's left on top of my vanity. Then I have one small bin of overflow I'm keeping in my vanity drawers, but this is the vast majority of everything, so I feel pretty good about that. Thank you all so much for watching what I'm sure was a very long video. I appreciate you making it all the way to the end. Some of you may be asleep right now because I fall asleep to a lot of declutters, so if you're asleep, maybe I should talk in a softer voice. Although I've been talking in a not soft voice, but it doesn't matter. Thank you all so much for watching. Please give this video a like. It helps me a lot in the wild, wild west of the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe if you want to see future stuff from me, and thank you all so much. I'm still like softening my voice because I'm worried I'm gonna wake people. Although honestly, the ads will wake you. That's what always wakes me, is I wake up in a panic because like I'm 3 minutes into like an American Eagle selling me like tax advice or something. It doesn't matter. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a good one. Bye y'all.